I posted to social media last night a bit about working less hours and being more engaged with my family, along the lines of all the things I post about full-time RV life and changing our whole approach to life and what's important. And the reactions I got were not entirely unexpected, but they brought up two very good points about how people perceive unusual living choices, like such as full-time RV living. One person, despite me, I was asking, what's the right amount of work? What's the right amount of a work week? All social norms out the window. What's the right amount of hours to spend on your vocation? Much like I ask, how many hours a week should you spend with your family? How many hours a week should you spend sleeping? It's not I know there's no answer, but the idea is to really think about your life is finite. How many of your hours want to be spent doing X, Y, and Z? And I thought I phrased it clearly, and was taking the specifics about everyone's individual lives out of it. But one person was kind of not hung up, but brought up all the only way to look at this is you have to work in a set amount of hours, and most bosses won't let you work less than 40 hours, and you have to make enough to have your income. I get that 100%, and I even prefaced the post that I made with I used to believe in 60-hour work weeks because that's what you need to get ahead, and that's what you need to be an executive level. And I posted that because I now feel so drastically different that I was trying to engage everybody to talk about it. So it wasn't so much about what current living conditions will allow you to get away with, either from your bills or your job sake, or what you need to make money. That I was trying to take that out of it to have a discussion at a more macro level. And the other person was talking about how many, just practically how many people were in his family, and what it would take to feed all those people, and also again a practical consideration. So I wanted to hit a few things. One, what all these posts are for is not to tell anybody how to live. Let's make that clear. Number two, um, all these posts are meant to generate discussion and help me get at what I'm getting at. I don't have the answers. I barely have some of the answers for my life, but I know that my wife and I have figured out a lot and have been changing our lives to be happier and healthier. That being said, I think there are a lot of things that we can do that are outside the norm to be happier and healthy. And I don't think a lot of these norms that have been established, I didn't agree to these norms. I didn't agree to, you have to work so many hours a week to make your living. What is making a living? I have to. I'm trying to get back to basics, like super basics. Like, okay, yes, we need the hierarchy of needs. We need food, shelter, clothing, love. Not discounting that for a second, but I think there's a different path, and I think that's what we're trying to craft. We're with all the education and life experience we have doing what typical normal things. We now have, I think, enough resources to start pursuing alternate means of living, and that's living so much simpler and more minimalist. Having less stuff. Less stuff means less maintenance. Not having a mortgage means not having to work as much to pay that mortgage. We don't have to pay exorbitant heating and cooling costs because we live in um, a tiny travel trailer. I say tiny though, and we've acclimated completely to living in this. And the boys and Libby and I are thriving. I think. Yes, we bump into each other sometimes. It'd be nice to have some more space, and we will have more space again. But currently, all the choices we've made are worth the trade-off of I'm so much more calm and I'm so much less stressed about day to day. I have to do this for my job and this for my job and this for my. I don't want to be defined by my job. So I know the instinct when we post these things is to say, well, that's great for you to be able to just not worry about a job. Well, it's not great and it wasn't easy. We've taken a ton of steps to make this happen, including selling our house, including going through some financial distress that we're just kind of emerging from because these non-traditional income streams, or less common income streams, are starting to work. And I want to do a whole section about income streams, and I'm not the only one doing it. I mean, there are a million people out there that they call it side hustles or passive income streams. There's value to all that. I just find it fascinating that I was such a steadfast opponent of. I would tell Libby, I would tell her, what do you mean work 40 hours? You have to work 60 hours. You have to. You have to have a zero inbox. You have to work 60 hours a week. It's just what you do if you want to succeed. And she would tell me, no, it's not. And I said, yeah, it kind of is. And I would like to say I wasn't a jerk about it. I probably was at times. But when you have good money coming in, that's also nice. But at the sacrifice of the time with my family. So I'm trying to get at the heart of what really matters, and out of a certain number of hours per week, what's that? 7 days times 24, 140 plus 28, 168 hours a week. And you're sleeping a third of that, so 50 hours or 60 hours of that should be spent sleeping. And I used to be furious about sleeping a third of my life away. Now I think it's essential. I'm 47. I need sleep. I need sleep to feel good. Um, so it's critical that I build in whatever we build for the next phases of our life. It's critical that we keep the things that we really find important, and going to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and not being with my family is not it's not acceptable. And again, I can hear it. I can hear my mom saying it. I can hear my old self saying it, that, well, okay, but you got to do whatever it takes to survive. Yes, you do have to do whatever it takes to survive, but there are a lot of things you can do and not assume as absolutely necessary or mandatory in order to make those hours less, and living more simply, and not living in a house that you can't afford, and not having your monthly expenses so close to what you can generate with your income. You can do alternate things. And okay, maybe you're in a position where, okay, we can't change that, we just can't. Okay, I would challenge a little bit and say there might be ways around that, and I'm kind of excited to help people figure it out. We can teach our kids, our boys, that there are a lot of paths, and they don't have to get caught up in the whole cycle of, well, that we inherited a house, now we have a house, now we have to take care of the house, now we live in this house, now we live in this city, that's what happens, now our life is over. Not to be, sorry, I didn't mean to make that sound fatalistic, but I also know that happens. People get stuck in places, and hamstrung by stuff. And I'm so happy that we found this. I'm so happy for circumstances that led to us taking these steps. And that's the heart of what I want to convey on this channel, and what I want to convey with everything that I have learned, that it's important to look for alternatives and not take for granted that, well, we can't have the life we want because of societal or practical needs. I think there are alternatives, not for everyone, and again, every situation is different. I'm not telling anyone to change anything that they don't want to change, but I wasn't aware of how much I wanted to change until I started changing it. I hear how that sounds, but it's true. And the only goal of all these things, it's for me as well as for hopefully other people. I gain a lot out of thinking about these things, and trying these things, and living in a bit of a financial scary time in order to have everything else flipping awesome, and smile every morning, and not feel pressured every day, and not be anxious every day. It's a better way to live. So that's what I got today.